So what keeps UFC fans always interested in the UFC is that prospect of finding that next title challenger. Who can be the next guy to take that belt and become the next champion of the division? So what we do every single time is go through each division and find a fighter, maybe a couple fighters, and figure out if they have a chance of getting towards that belt. I would say so for myself that I like rallying around fighters who have a chance to climb the rankings and get towards that title shot. But as we know, this is the UFC and you can't predict everything. Sometimes there's some dark horses in every division. Sometimes there's guys who you don't expect to win at all and they end up going on a win streak and getting that title. So what I decided to do for this video is go through every single UFC weight class and pick out one dark horse that can make their way towards that title shot and possibly win the belt. These are guys who you typically wouldn't expect, who you probably have forgotten about or don't think about to this day. And if you're even a new fan to the UFC, you might not even know who these guys even are. And before I even get into this list, I want to make a quick announcement. It is MMA October. I will be going live every single day of October. So if you do enjoy my channel and you do like my content, come check out my live streams, come hang out with me. I'm sure you will have a good time in them. But let's be done with that and let's dive right into the top dark horses in every single UFC weight class. So as you can see to my right, there is a black screen next to me. I'm going to unveil each fighter one by one and give you my reasoning as to why they're a dark horse in their division. Now, starting off with flyweight. Flyweight was kind of a hard division for me to really pick out a fighter for because I feel like every fighter you already know and you already have some sort of claim for them to work their way towards the title shot. But this guy, he's fighting Manel Cap soon. And if he does win that fight, I think it would be unexpected and he wouldn't be a name that you would have first on your list towards getting a title shot. And that is Bruno Silva. Now, Bruno Silva has been kind of inactive recently, but he has been good. Now, he did lose to David Dvorak, and he has lost to Tagir Ulanbekov, but I still think he has found a way to improve as time goes on. He's fought JP Bays, which is kind of a scrub. He fought Victor Rodriguez, okay, Tyson Nam, okay, Cody Durden. He beat Cody Durden by finish. And nowadays, Cody Durden is not a guy who's easy to beat at flyweight. Now, he is 34 years old, and I don't really expect him to go on a huge run, but if he does beat Manel Cap, that would make him a certified dark horse. And Bruno Silva has proven to us that he can finish people at flyweight. Having power at flyweight, I think, is a different sort of gravy. If you can go out there and finish people at flyweight, I think you are a different kind of monster. But Bruno Silva at flyweight, I'm not too hard stuck in this position. Like you could go Tatsuro Taira, but he's a name and that people know about especially. So it's kind of hard. I feel like if you are a dark horse or a person who has title aspirations, you kind of already are a name at flyweight. There's just not many fighters who people don't know at flyweight who have a chance at getting towards that belt. So I think Bruno Silva is the most unknown name. And if he does beat Manel Cap, he will be a bigger name in the flyweight division. But we move on to bantamweight, and I went ahead with Kyler Phillips. People don't know about Kyler Phillips that much these days, man. He has been inactive. I think he did pop for steroids, so this could be a reason why he's so good right now. But people don't know that he has a win over Song Yadong, a pretty clear decision win over Song Yadong, where I think he clearly won that fight pretty easily, 2-1. And even on top of that, he did beat Pedro Munoz just recently. The guy is no slouch anymore, and he has a really fun style to watch. He does spinning wheel kicks in the double legs. That's how he beat Song Yadong in the first place. And overall, he just is a really talented fighter who is fun to watch. He's fighting Rob Font soon. We'll see if he beats him. I believe that gets him into the rankings. He might already be ranked. I don't know. But I think he's a name that people don't really know of that well because he has been incredibly inactive throughout these past couple years. He missed all of 2023, only fought once in 2022, only fought once in 2023, and only fought once so far in 2024, which he is planning to add 2 fights to his 2024 resume. But I feel like he's a name that people don't really know about that much because they haven't seen him fight that often. And it's not like he's out here just flatlining, KOing everybody that he can see in the division. He's a good fighter who I think has potential to eventually rise up their rankings and get towards the title shot. He is pretty young, I believe. He is only 29 years old, so he does have a few years left in him. Trains at the MMA lab, which I believe is what O'Malley used to kind of work with. I know him and his coach Tim, I believe at one point were doing work at the MMA lab. So I think that he does have some sort of rapport with O'Malley, maybe a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of weird because Tim coaches O'Malley, but O'Malley trains at MMA lab. They've done work with Mario Bautista. I feel like O'Malley's been in that gym quite a little bit. So I think that Kyler Phillips has some sort of, I wouldn't say relationship with O'Malley. It sounds kind of sus, but I do know that he has at least trained with him probably a little bit. But Kyler Phillips is my dark horse at Bantamweight. Moving on to Featherweight, I do have Gene Silva. Now, I don't know if Gene Silva counts as a dark horse at featherweight because I think his name is now starting to grow a lot in the past couple months. Obviously, beating Drew Dober is a huge win for him, and him getting KOs over Charles Jourdain, also a huge win. So at this point, this guy has turned into a monster. Fighting Nerds Gym overall is getting more notoriety. So I don't know if Gene Silva right now would be considered a dark horse. I think people have high aspirations for him and his future in the UFC, but I think right now it's kind of the good time to really kind of shove Gene Silva into this position because lightweight is such a stacked division. And if Gene Silva can make easy work of Drew Dober, I think he can beat some top guys at featherweight right now. So Gene Silva at lightweight, featherweight, I don't know. He more so is a featherweight. I think he can go out there and beat some guys at the top of featherweight right now. He possibly could go out there and beat Yair Rodriguez. Maybe he even could beat Brian Ortega. I don't know. I just think Gene Silva is incredibly talented. He's fighting often. He's obviously really good. The Fighting Nerds Gym is really good. We see the skill from Gene Silva. He has some hype right now, but I will put him in the dark horse category just for now. I think he kind of deserves it. I do think he does have some sort of title aspirations later down the line in his career. I believe he is only 28 years old, so again, has a lot of time left in the UFC. He could definitely still improve. And by the time he's 30, 31, he might be looking for a title shot. But that's it for Gene Silva. Moving on to lightweight, I have Rafael Fiziev here at lightweight. Now, people have kind of forgotten about Rafael Fiziev, and arguably he did beat Justin Gaethje. Didn't get it in his favor. It is what it is. I do believe he won the first 2 rounds of that fight and clearly lost the third. I think at worst it should be a draw in that fight. However, since he got hurt by Gamrot, I think his name has kind of died down. Hasn't fought in a year. People are kind of forgetting about Rafael Fiziev. Currently, right now, there's a ton of grapplers at lightweight. And when people look at Fiziev, him being mainly a striker, they might think he might get taken down and controlled by like an Islam or a Sarukian or a lot of these other grapplers at lightweight. However, this dude has incredibly good takedown defense. I don't really see Fiziev getting out grappled by really that many people. I think his main issue is not his grappling defense, but his cardio. Obviously, he does gas out in that 3rd round. 5 rounders are going to be very, very hard for him. But then again, he fought Dos Anjos and had a good 5-round performance and even KO'd him in that round. So it's tough with Fiziev. I feel like his cardio is obviously his main issue, but his striking is undeniable. I will still firmly stand that Rafael Fiziev is a top 5 striker in the UFC, and I made a video forever ago about that, and I still hold that same belief. I think Fiziev maybe is a top 3 striker in the UFC based on technique, skill for skill. I think he is one of the best strikers in the UFC right now. I don't care, but obviously, he tore his ACL against Gamrot, got black magic wizard by him. But when he does come back, I do expect him to have a good performance again and possibly make his way up to a title shot once more. But we move on to the welterweight division, and I have Joaquin Buckley. Now, Joaquin Buckley, he fights, who does he fight this weekend? He's fighting Wonder Boy. Sorry, I forgot about that. But spoiler alert for my predictions video, I am picking Joaquin Buckley to beat Wonder Boy. I think he will go out there and grapple with him. Now, personally, I'm not really the biggest fan of Joaquin Buckley. I think he relies too much on his athleticism to carry him in fights, but I think overall, it's welterweight, man, and he's winning pretty easily, and I think he has potential. I think if he can grow into this actual good striker and not just a guy who relies on big leaping hooks and diving in straight and a lot of side-to-side movement, I think he would be a better fighter. He just spams head kicks a bit too much for me and throws too many hooks and he dives straight in. Personally, I don't really like his style, but he is winning. And I don't think he's dumb. I think he will go out there and I think he will grapple Wonder Boy. And I think that will win him the fight. Wonder Boy is 40-something years old, whatever. That's for a prediction video later down the line. But Joaquin Buckley is winning. He beat Luque, obviously. However weird it was, he beat Luque. He also beat Sultan Ruzaboev, where he had success in the grappling in that fight as well. Joaquin Buckley has definitely improved. Definitely gotten better since he's moved down to welterweight. I think he has potential. He is now kind of a dark horse in my opinion. When people look at Joaquin Buckley, they see a guy who talks a lot, maybe isn't that funny, kind of cringe. They compare him to a Shaft Cat, JDM, and they're like, no way he beats Bilal or makes his way towards a title shot. I think he might be the biggest dark horse at welterweight right now. We'll see what happens in the future, but I do have pretty good hope, not hope, but I do think Joaquin Buckley will be good in the future and possibly make his way to the top 5 and get a title shot at some point. But moving on from Joaquin Buckley and going up to middleweight, I do have Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop, Obama, whatever his nickname might be to you. I think there's a clear night and day difference between Rodriguez and the rest of the division, right? I feel like he's like the skill jump once you get to his level, right? I feel like anybody below Rodriguez is kind of really, really below his skill. And I think everybody else is kind of on his skill level. We've seen him when he fought CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan, when he's fought other fighters in the UFC. We just see a massive drop off of skill once you get to like the top 20 in the middleweight division. I feel like RoboCop sits kind of right there. Now, when it comes to Rodriguez, I do think that he should be in the rankings. If he didn't lose to Bruno Ferreira, I think when it comes to pure talent and how good he is at grappling, striking, powerful, whatever quality you want to apply to him that he does obviously have at points, I feel like the guy just might be a little bit underrated and people don't put enough stock into him because he did get KO'd by Bruno Ferreira. I think that he can possibly go on a run and make his way towards a title shot or possibly just be really good in the middleweight division. He's 32 years old, but if a 40-something-year-old Cannonier can be successful in the UFC, I think a Rodriguez who's 32 can be successful as well. I mean, the dude is jacked, powerful, has good grappling. Like, he has a lot of qualities that can make him good at middleweight. And I think if he gets the right opponent and gets a guy who is higher ranked than him, I think he can go on to win and possibly make a little run at middleweight. He just needs to find that right opponent, and he hasn't found that right opponent just yet because either he just loses randomly or something like that. But when it comes to Obama, I find him to be incredibly improved. I find him to be way better than when he was when he first came into the UFC. I do think that he does have potential to go on a good run and possibly get towards a title shot. But moving on to light heavyweight, I have Alexander Rakic. Now, I think some people just don't know who Rakic is because he was out for so long, tore his ACL against Blachowicz, came back and lost to Yuri. So I think a lot of new fans might not really know who Rakic is. But Rakic is a dog, man. He's really, really good. I know he lost to Yuri, but he was pretty much whooping on Yuri until he got finished by him. Rakic, I think, can recover. I think he can make a good comeback and potentially make his way towards a title shot again. Obviously, he has really, really good low kicks. He has really good grappling, good striking. I think he is really, really good. He might just lack in the power with the hands, but overall, Rakic is just a really, really good fighter. But I think people don't know who he is just yet because they just haven't seen him fight in forever. Because if you're a new fan, you wouldn't know who Rakic is because he hasn't been active in the past few years. And if you're that new fan and you see him just lose to Yuri like that, then you're just like, this guy is just some other dude. But trust me, Rakic is a different level of fighter at light heavyweight. And I do think he might have, I wouldn't say one of the better chances of beating Pereira, but I wouldn't be surprised if he went out there and he grappled him up for 5 rounds, 3 rounds maybe. I think Rakic is that good. I think he would have beaten Blachowicz if he didn't tear his ACL. Obviously, the Yuri Prochazka fight, it is what it is. Still had a great performance in that fight. Still looked very, very good. However, it's unfortunate he lost. But I do think if he does fight again, I do think he will win. I think he beats most guys at light heavyweight right now. I do think he will make a name for himself again in the UFC and at light heavyweight. But moving on to our final division, the biggest dark horse in that heavyweight division, I don't know. Honestly, there really is nobody at heavyweight who you can even consider to be a dark horse. So I went with Hamdi Abdelwahab. Now, this guy hasn't fought in I don't know how long. I believe he did pop for roids. Might be on like a 2-year ban or whatever. I don't know what's going on with him. But yeah, nothing special about him. You just might have forgotten about him. I don't know. His name is Hamdi Abdelwahab. Again, he's not that good. Still in the UFC, popped for steroids. He beat somebody. I forget who he beat, but it's been a while. You might have just forgotten about him. If you're a fan who's been around for a little bit, you might recognize who this guy is. If you're new, this is Hamdi Abdel Wahab. Hamdi Abdel Wahab. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give me a like, subscribe, bell icon for notifications as well. Again, I'm going live every single day of October, so feel free to join me in the live stream if you want to. But that's it for this video, guys. I'm out of here.